How many times do you go to bed telling yourself that tomorrow's going to be a bad day, right? Like, what if you could just change the narrative to yourself and change the next day? And so when you realize that there's truth behind that, like, go for it. Say that Monday is your best day. Tomorrow's going to be a great day.
On the show, we're going to sit down and talk about the metamorphosis that happens when you become a leader.
We'll share our biggest wins and our losses and interview other leaders to find out how they stay in charge without losing their minds.
I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Zach. Welcome to the Who's in Charge podcast.
I had a board meeting this morning, so I got my collared shirt on.
You were prepped.
I was prepped.
Prepped, ready to go, which you are very good at, by the way. You're such a better prepper than I am.
Well, thank you. That's a good intro to this episode.
Let's do an intro.
CEO rhythms? You want to get into it?
I want to get into it. A little bit of rhythms. I think it's really important. I think, I will speak for myself as somebody that's, maybe a little on the ADHD spectrum, a little kind of all over the map.
Bit? Just a touch?
Depends on the day. I think rhythms can be difficult, but are super, super needed. And I'm thankful that I have somebody like you in my life that can help guide me in a gentle, polite way.
I'm so polite every time. I'm very kind.
And you also live it as well. You live it by example as well. And so, you've come in and into our company and into my life and have kind of helped create some rhythms. And so I think it'd be a great spot to kind of talk to people about the importance of different rhythms and routines of the most successful people out there, like Stephanie Betters.
Oh, please. Mr. Zachary Betters is way more successful than me. But let's get into the CEO rhythm. I think this is interesting. This is hard because I think we rebuke it, but then need it at the same time. So especially I think for you, some people are potentially a little more rebellious than others. I think you want a routine, but
yeah. It's taken me about 8 years. 8 years, I'm finally okay. Could you just tell me what to do? just give me a routine that I can follow.
Tell me what smoothie to drink in the morning and I'll drink it. I think it's funny, but it becomes a really, really important part of, I think, getting into peak state. So I've actually had a couple conversations on with my sales team at Left Main on this quite a bit, because part of sales is a lot of rejection, right? And moving through rejection and then moving through objections and then having really great wins and then periods of where things are a little slower and you're really not doing anything different. You're being consistent, but there's all these natural ebbs and flows just with your day. I think that's true, in sales teams and customer success teams and the CEO seat and any leadership seat is that you deal with a lot of incoming stimulus, but then and a lot of which is good and some of which is bad. And then you have to maintain the same consistent state of performance. And that becomes really difficult to do, right? So how do you get yourself into peak performance mode? We talked a little bit about that with Catherine and Kyle with athletes, right? You just lost your race, but you got to show up to the next one and ready to win it. And anyway, so I think controlling your daily rhythms and your weekly rhythms and your quarterly rhythms, and cadences help you stay consistent and help you get into that peak performance mindset, Yeah.
So, how do you find consistency without being regulated by your emotions, right? You can't, or can you control your emotion to bring it back? That was a sigh of not complete agreement.
No, I totally agree with you. Actually, I'm thinking yes. I was. What made me think about something was your statement, and I think you and I can relate to this a lot. On the medical side of things, you leave a patient's room where things are not going well, right? And maybe you had to deliver bad news or there was a bad outcome, and you're that whole emotional weight that happens there, and then you've got to compartmentalize that and go to the next patient's room and give them your best and that family the best, and you can't let it be influenced by what just happened. I feel like there's a lot of trauma compartmentalization and crap that happens on the medical side, but that's an example of a really severe example of getting back into peak performance, and like you've got to like have a short-term memory for that piece and like move. And there's a lot of I think there's a lot of emotional stuff that like you've got to regulate in order to do that. And it's not a lot of like data things. There's not a lot of logic there. Like there's a lot of like emotional resiliency that you've got to create over time. And I think that like rhythms are how you do that.
Yeah. I mean, you got me stuck on the hospital thing. It's such an interesting spot of learning that emotional regulation inside the hospital. Yep. You have people at their worst day and their best day, and you're dealing with them all exactly where they are in their life.
Yep.
And regardless of what happened in the previous patient's room, regardless of what happened this morning on your way to work or the fight with your wife before you went to work, doesn't really matter,
Excuse
right?
You.
For other people. This is for other people. This isn't all for us. I don't know what that would be like, but I hear that happens to other people. I don't know. It's something they might have to deal with.
I think there's like little things like, before like you go into a patient room, like you use the Purell thing, and like everyone kind of has their like reset thing that you do. And I think we can bring that into business and kind of that context into business. And I think typically where this starts is Sunday. I don't know if you feel the same way, but like my Sunday wind down is a lot about, all right, being prepared for Monday, because Monday is my favorite day of the week.
And that is some discipline.
But Monday is my favorite day of the week because I've told myself it's my favorite day of the week. And I will continue for it to be my favorite day of the week because it's the fresh week, new start, ready to go.
Opportunity, new opportunities.
But like I've also told myself this many, many, many times. I tell myself every Monday is my favorite day of the week. And that kind of helps me get into it, right? But I think it starts on Sunday with like preparing for the week. And with that being said, I think it's very important to be off and like rest on the weekends. And of course, entrepreneurship, there's like, you get punched in the face, you got to do crap over the weekend sometimes. But tell me what you do on a Sunday. How do you reset? How do you prepare for your week?
Yeah. So two things I will say is like, that is literally proven, right? The idea of what you tell yourself before you go to bed. Like they've done studies on this stuff, right? What you tell yourself.
Right?
Yep. So Hal talks about the morning, miracle morning, right? But I think there's even been psychological studies and things like that go into like, what do you tell? How many times do you go to bed telling yourself that tomorrow's going to be a bad day, right? Like, what if you could just change the narrative to yourself and change the next day? And so when you realize that there's truth behind that, like go for it. Say that Monday is your best day. Tomorrow's going to be a great day. Oh, I'm going to wake up so tired tomorrow. Like what a crap way to end your day, number one. And number two, it increases your chances that that's what you're going to wake up to is a crap day the next day. So there's a lot of power in the words that we use. And I think that's really important. I am not as good with my Sunday as you are. Well, it depends on what we're talking about. I think I'm better with my Sunday in terms of a rest day, but I'm not as good as a preparer as you are for the Sunday. And that's why I was saying like it takes discipline, right? The reality is like knowing what's most important to get you to your goal. Nobody necessarily wants to take 2 hours out of their Sunday, which is supposed to be their day off, to think about their work week and prepare and plan it. But like that level of preparation allows you to hit the ground running at such a much faster, focused, and efficient way that I think that's where what's the idea of like two people follow each other to work and one person always gets there earlier and they're always looking for a shortcut, right? Oh, I'm going to try a different shortcut. And they finally follow the other person. They find out that they just ran across the street instead of walking across the street. Like, I think that's one of those things, like, how are you so effective in your discipline to be prepared for the week? I think is one of the ways that you're super efficient. I've gotten to, I do it more of a less degree than you do, but like writing down what the goals are, what your top three are. I took that from you. I'm stealing your thunder already. But writing down your top three. I struggle with three. I got my list over there. It tends to be a list of like 5, but having those things written out is helpful for me to hit the ground running, number one. Number two, it also makes me enjoy life a little bit better because it frees me up from having to think like all Sunday long about, oh, this is what I want to do this week. This is what I want to do this week. And then I'm just constantly thinking about it versus get it down on a piece of paper. I know that needs to get done. That's tomorrow's Zach's problem. I'm going to try to focus on this for whatever my off time is.
When do you make your list? Are you doing that on a Sunday?
So I try to do it nightly before. So Monday, you were always starting the day before. So yeah, so Sunday would start for Monday. I try to do that every night before work day.
So what do you do on Sunday? Do you do it? Like, it's okay if you feel, this is the reality is all of our rhythms are purpose made for us. So like what works for me may not work for you. I find you to be extremely effective. So we're like leading up to a super busy week. What do you do? Like how you've what you've rested during the weekend. What are you feeling and thinking on a Sunday night? Are you thinking about it? Or you're like, no, I'm going to do it on Monday. Like what's your mental exercise that you go through?
I mean, up until I've gotten much better at the idea of like shutting off a lot of things. I mean, your brain is always thinking, but whatever I've most kind of had recurrent thoughts of over the weekend of whether they're stress, anxiety, problems, or opportunities, whatever those have come up the most for me in my thoughts over the weekend are the things that I'm hitting for Sunday night, and the idea of writing them down. I'm trying to get better. Like I said, I got a piece of paper there. I'm moving up to a notebook world. I've changed my organizational strategies about 12 times in the last 10 years to try to find what's most effective. But if I can work out of a workstation, which I do work out of my desk here most of the time, I get by with my scrap notebooks. So I got a scrap piece of paper. I'm writing down the things that are most important for me to be able to get done. And then I just leave it there. It's left on the desk and I go on.
I think that you have a phenomenal attitude and positive energy. Like you always do. You know, I get to see the side that like not everybody sees, like just like you do. Like you get to see my anxiety and my self-doubt and all like blah, blah, blah. But I feel like what you're really good at is that positive energy and like waking up happy and like, I don't know, you have like an internal momentum about you that's very positive. How do you maintain that?
So I'm not, and I think we're always adapting, adjusting to what the needs are of your time. I think we should always be growing. And sometimes that's going back. Like I read the Hal Elrod book. Oh man. I mean, we gave that off to Jenny. What was that? Like 15 years ago, I feel like. And kind of coming back to some of those things. I don't do them all, but like one thing that I do is life is very chaotic. From the second that I wake out of bed to the second that I go to bed, like there's always something happening. If it's not work related, it's kid related. We got 3 kids running around, and teenage years are just wild. I almost made a post about it last night. It's like, 10:30, I'm going on 11 o'clock at night. We got Green Day rocking. I'm like, this would have been like my ideal teenage childhood. And it's just like happening but now I want to go to bed. Why are we cranking out Green Day at 11 o'clock? I say all that to say like, it's noisy and kids only wake up at night at this point. Like, they may have been recluse all day long, but all of a sudden you want to go to bed. And they're like, no, I have all these stories that I want to tell you.
They're nocturnal creatures.
Right. It's so wild. Like, hold on, wait a minute. I've got an hour's worth of information to download. It's 11:30. Like, now's not the time. But that's a story for another day. But anyways, it is so busy that actually that's one of the things that I do every morning. I will say is I wake up and I actually just lay in bed, and whether that's meditation, prayer, silence time, I don't pick up my phone. And it is just time for me to kind of reflect on things. I'm trying to add more gratitude into that time, right? So like having the silent time that's not overstimulated with things, to try to start the day off right, to focus on gratitude, and then maybe thinking a little bit about what you have to do. But honestly, when you're thinking about too much of what you have to do, you just, that either opportunity gets you jumped out of bed or that anxiety gets you jumped out of bed, one of the two. And so that's how I start my day every day. I get to wake up next to the most beautiful woman in the world. So I just take my moment to relish in that.
You're so silly. But you wake up every morning happy. I mean, you're a very happy person. Like, I think that's pretty cool. Like, and I think hopefully you feel the same way about me.
I feel that way about you. Happy. I don't know that I'm as happy as you. I don't know.
Like, I think that's like, maybe we've kind of programmed ourselves that way, but in general, like, I think both of us wake up happy. Even if we have a full plate and like a lot of stuff going on, centered around like the gratitude and like, okay, we're trying to be in the moment. But I think I got that from you, because you're just a baseline happy person, and I think you would do a really good job of like listening, and maybe I don't know that you give yourself enough credit for that as part of your rhythm. Like you hold loosely to the plan, which I think can probably make you feel like you're less organized, but because you do, you're actually more flexible and probably a little bit happier. I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, I also I was just writing down, what do I want out of life? Like, I like to be productive. I like to be impactful. And I mean, that's all stuff that you can control. Like, go find a place where you're needed, wanted, can make a difference. And if you can have control over that, I've got you, I've got the kids. Like, life is pretty good. I have control over those things. And so I actually enjoy the feeling of going to bed shot. I've done a ton of things. I've given life all that I can. And whether, I mean, that could be through work, right? I worked my fingers to the bone, or I played my fingers to the bone, or ideally a combination of both of those things. I've done something to be productive, and I've done something to enjoy life and to give in to other people and to give in to my kids. And I'm exhausted at the end of the day. I couldn't be happier. I mean, that's just where I want to be.
You want to check literally every box before you go to sleep. All the things. Right?
Right. There's nothing more rewarding. And we could get into the idea of what do you call it? Multitasking, and you can't actually multitask, but being able to check off a couple boxes, because there are times when you can do these things, right? I can mow the lawn and listen to an audiobook, right? It's two different areas of your brain. I could be outside getting something productive done, sunshine on my skin, getting a little exercise into there and learning. All right, dope. Doesn't get, well, there's things that are better than that, but it gets really good there.
Well, that's what I'm waiting for. I'm okay.
We'll
is he gonna go there? You're gonna try to make me blush? But yeah, okay. I think I'm different. I don't like to go to bed feeling completely exhausted. I hate that feeling, actually. I want to go to bed, and I want to gently go to bed. I would like to read my book, a couple of chapters, and I would like to be tired, and then I would like to go to sleep. I don't feel well when I'm absolutely spent. So we're a little bit different in that sense. I'd much rather wake up and sprint and then have a cool down period and then go to bed. So for me, I'm more of a planner, and I feel a little bit more rigid on how I like to go about my day. And it's so funny because I used to pride myself on not being that way, being super flexible, very adaptable, and then I started my professional career, and I like my paper printed, my patient list. I like it printed a certain way and with this amount of space, because this is how I like to do it. And now I find myself I like a certain kind of notebook. I like this spiral notebook. If you're watching the video, I have a spiral notebook that sits flat, right? I don't have to crease it. It sits flat, and I can write on both pages at the same time. And I like the certain pen because it feels better when I write, and I want to wake up. I want to have my cup of coffee right away. I want to go make my cup of coffee, and that's how I get into my day, right? So I feel if I have some of these rhythms, and I still think in general I'm relatively flexible, but if I follow my little routine and I feel organized in the beginning of the day, then I feel more resilient by the end of the day. So I like to plan a little bit more. I like to have my little creature comforts, and I like to do them in a certain order, and then I'm good. But I think it's funny because what always comes back to the rhythm is on Sunday, as I'm winding down, I'm thinking about the entire week and what do I need to plan in that week, and I'm triaging the order of which I have to do them. I have a presentation I'm giving tomorrow. It's been at the bottom of the list. I'm going to do it on the plane tonight. Right. And I knew that at Sunday night, I knew I was going to do the presentation on the plane on Wednesday night, and it'll be fine. I already know what I'm going to say and what I'm going to do. And then that's when I'm going to do it. And then I don't feel this open tab in my brain. So I don't know, I don't know if that makes sense, but I kind of think about that on a Sunday. And then, every morning I do my top 3 things, and I have my cup of coffee, and then I start my day. And again, sometimes, it doesn't go as planned. I'll get a phone call from my dad, and he wants to talk about something, and I'm I totally missed my 3-day, my top 3 things, and interrupted my coffee because I was FaceTiming, right? So it's okay to do those things, but I definitely feel better peak performance when I have a moment to organize myself, even if it's just 15 minutes. But where I feel the healthiest is, and I feel you're the same exact way as this, and you're way better at it than I am, is time blocking some period of time, either during the week or even during the month, where you just have time to think. Like, let me just go back to like the dream zone for a second and like, what's ideal? Can I just sit outside and like listen to the birds chirp and think about the larger scale of the direction that this company is going in? And like, can I just like disconnect from all the Slack notifications and the text messages and think for a minute? I could be so much better at that, because I feel like I'm always operating on like a schedule and like my plan, that I don't have that period of rest. That's my true peak performance, is when I can have that time, like some deep thinking time, some disconnected time, which feels like rest for me. Like that feels really good to just like disconnect and do that. And I feel like at this stage of my journey as a leader and as a CEO, I have now realized that I absolutely need that. And you have really taught me that. Like I've really struggled with the concept of rest for many years, decades, really. Like, I don't need to rest. I don't need to sleep. I can keep going. And I've realized, especially in the last like year to 18 months, that is to my detriment, that I am actually way better and way clearer if I have that rest, and dealing with all the different like pressures and stimulus and questions and decisions. And like, if I don't have time to rest and think, like I physically can't transition well between all those different things and like compartmentalize well. Like I inherit this anxiety into the next meeting, or like somebody does something dumb and it ruins my day, right? Like I have less resiliency when I don't have some period of deep thinking and vision and rest. So anyway, you've really been instrumental in like pulling me out of that, because I feel like you're the person that sees it, right? Like you see it before anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of superhuman, right? But we all have a breaking point. We all have a burnout zone. And so, I mean, there's a few things I want to talk about. I mean, one is just going back to the idea of like a calendar, right? I'm picturing a calendar almost like a Tetris game, right? And so imagine like, if instead of playing Tetris, you were throwing in like weird sized balls and didn't really care where they flipped through, right? And it just like shit just fell through onto your day all day long. Like there would be so many gaps of weird time. It's really important for me because it takes me a while with like this whole spectrum thing, whatever the hell I'm on. Like it takes me a while. Yeah, it takes me a little while to get going into a task. So for me to find my flow zone, where I feel like you could just break into a flow zone. I can remember, like, shout out to any study partner that I had in college. It was tough to be a study partner with me because I could screw around for an hour and 45 minutes before like we actually started to study. But then once we got into that zone, like literally would study for I don't know how that we did it. We'd study for 6 hours in a row, 8 hours in a row. And, with like a cigarette break or something, that would be about it. But anyways, so far more important for me to not have distractions in between things, because it takes me so long to get into flow or to get back into the flow. So getting into calendar management, like you want to rely on a calendar, or else your day is going to be filled with all sorts of these areas that just don't make sense. There's so many different time gaps that aren't there. And with that calendar of being importance, if you're not careful, it will be entirely taken over and dictated by meetings that maybe you need to be in or don't need to be in. So one of the things, like you were just talking about, the idea of setting time blocks, like I literally put on my calendar now a time for content creation. I literally put a block on my calendar for CEO time. And some of the team like can see my schedule, and so they're like laughing. I've got like a spot that's called Daddy Doing Deals, right? Like if there's deals that I need to evaluate or whatever, there's a spot for Daddy Doing Deals. And so making sure that I blockade that time. And I think the problem for serving people such as myself, and I think for you, is you've got to guard that time. You got to put it on your calendar first, which I think is you've struggled with the most, because you see it as a loss of opportunity to help somebody else or to proceed somewhere else. And then if it does get on the calendar, it's the first spot that like, I can give that up. Like it's kind of funny, like looking, so we talk about medicine sometimes, like it was kind of like a cult almost with what we did with schedules. Yeah. Really, there'll be a phase of our life where we'll look back and say the same thing about our schedules now, right? Like I'm laughing at, when's the last time you've taken a lunch break? Like that's been on your calendar. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't have your spot with your friend for a breakfast meeting, like breakfast and lunch is like just not a priority. It's like,
right.
So
shout out to Thalia and our breakfast morning meetings.
Thank you for giving her one
meeting.
One, right? But it's got to be, and it's because you guys put it on the calendar, and then you have somebody, shout out to accountability partners, right? Like this is why we do a lot of things in the company with the idea of like, if I'm not held accountable to this, if that was a breakfast meeting with yourself, I guarantee you wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
you wouldn't be held accountable to it. You'd wake up, you'd be like, screw that. I'm going to go get another project done that I should have done.
See, this is why, I'm overdue for a pedicure because, like, I'm not going to take time to go do that.
There we go. But yeah, so I think calendars are really important. Putting things on there and making sure that you put yourself on your calendar, realizing what's the most important. And as we grow, and that's what this podcast is about, right? The idea of growing in leadership, you start off and you're doing everything. I've got to make all the phone calls. I've got to do all of these things. And then all of a sudden you're hiring other people and you get busier before you get less busy, right? Like I hired people to do work, so I should have less to do, right? No, you're still oftentimes doing both. And guess what? You've got to train. And it literally, sometimes it's embarrassing to be on a podcast. It's like, I literally just this year put on one-on-one time with our team. We've been in business for how many years? And I've never run one-on-ones with our team up until this year. Like,
they've always been impromptu.
Yeah. And I guess this is another point that I want to get across. Impromptu just doesn't happen. It's hard enough even when it's on the calendar. I gave one person crap in the team today. I had one-on-one at 10, 10:30. There was another scheduled meeting. 10:30 came across, missed the one-on-one. I'm like, well, glad you showed up for this one, not our one-on-one. It's like, oh, wait, what? Like, yeah, this was your week for your one-on-one. But anyways, it's first step is getting on the calendar. Second step is accountability. And before you're thinking, well, why didn't he hold him accountable? I know he's training a new person this week, so I gave him a pass. I see it as a multiplication. He can miss this one meeting to multiply that out, and I'll catch him back up here.
But you still said something, so that is holding accountable. Is like calling it out. I think especially on the meeting thing. I think meetings and impromptu meetings, the quick got a minute, etc.
Oh,
this is something that I have absolutely struggled with because I want to be available, right? Like I want an open door policy. I want to be available all the time. And I'm very responsive, right? Like I move very quickly and like, let's look at it. Like the busy person gets the most done, even though they're super busy, right? So like, I love that. But what I've really had to do and what I noticed, that I've enabled is people to come to me with the monkey on their back and give me their monkey. And as my team has grown and like Left Main has 40 plus people at this point, I cannot take everyone's monkey. Yeah. Absolutely not. I can't. I just physically, of course I can't. I'm in the middle of 700 things, right? And I need you to like at least put a leash, but like give me. So I now require more from somebody when they have a meeting with me. Like you're not allowed to just be like, hey, this problem. Okay, what do you want to do? I find myself continuing to ask that. Like, okay, you're bringing a problem to me. What's the ask?
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? What do you need from me? Right. And instead of me just springing to immediate action, that completely takes me out of my rhythm for the day and my plan for the day. And of course, like I'm here there's always going to be things that pop up and like the quick, can I grab you for 3 seconds? Of course. But you don't get a chance to just grab me for 3 seconds and give me a problem to solve. If you're going to got a minute with me, like, what is it that you want? What is it that you're suggesting? Not just the problem.
I have such a huge aversion to got a minute. Like it's now just become, it's like a trigger word for me. Like it dang well better be followed by exactly what the issue is. And I mean, it's on us as leaders to set that as an expectation, or else people will continue. Like if somebody's able to come to you and say, got a minute, and you take the meeting and then you solve the problem, you are the trainer. You are training them exactly what to do. I mean, a small life example is like our kids damn well know if they come up to me, hey, can I have this? We're like in a store. I just look at them. Like they know there are 4 questions after that they need to answer before I'm even going to give you an answer. Like, can I have this? It costs this. I want it for this. I'm willing to pay for it or not. Like, don't just ask me if I can have something. And it's, And I say that just as like a training example. Like that's not probably normal for every kid to come up to a parent and have a whole list of answers to questions, but it's what they've been trained to do. And you are training your team how they can react and respond to you. And if you send me a Skype message, or what are we using these days? A chat message that says, got a minute, like you're not getting my time, but you're not even likely to get an answer unless you're telling me, hey, do you got a minute? I have this problem, so I can hierarchy this into what we need. The reality is we all want to be busy. We talk about calendar management. I've done as best job as I can to try to put in department level meetings that I can attend if they need my feedback, one-on-one meetings to be able to meet on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. Like there's all these set times that we can talk. There should be, we're not dealing with a dying patient here. There should be very few actual emergencies of like, I need you now. Like how? and so putting that into place.
And like me, like I totally debate that. Like I don't ever want to be too busy for somebody to ask me something. Like I hate but there, like you said, there are limits. And if there's a difference between asking me for something and then like just telling me a problem, like, hey, this happened. Can I do this? Yes. Great. Or no, this is why. Right? Like I will never be too busy for that. And I don't ever want to be too busy for that, especially like direct reports and stuff like that. Just because like that's also kind of life. And I want to be able to move fast. And a lot about being successful in business is moving fast. But I want to move fast with information. Like, what is it? The
fastest you can move is to train people to make decisions on their own.
100%. 100%.
I tend to be long-winded as I talk to people and I talk to the team, but it's
so that
because
like discourages people from asking anything.
There you go. You'll never come back again. Charlotte has a joke. She says like, "Oh, here we go. How the brakes work." She asked me a question about a car years ago. I was like, "Oh, blah blah blah," and here's how the brakes work. And so we have an internal joke of like, "Here we go with how the brakes work," but. No, and it's not to discourage you from coming to me. It's to give you as much information as possible about how I think. What do you want? Why are you coming to me? You're coming to me because you want to know how I think. You may think that you want an answer, but like screw an answer. An answer is so fleeting and temporary. Like if I can give you how I came up with the answer, you don't need to come back to me and then getting back to your. So it's not that I don't want you to come back. Right. It's that I want you to come back with a new problem, and now you know how to solve this problem, and you know how I think. Just had that with our team today. We had a one-on-one about a new process of what we're doing. I called all the potential people on here and said, I've talked to you all separately. Now you're all together. Here's my vision of what I want our team to be able to do. Collective thoughts of like who I think can and should be doing what, asking their input on who should be doing what the expectations are of when you come to me. This is the information you're going to like. And so it's a little bit of a longer meeting, but they now have every piece of information. I gave them the number to call, and I should not hear anything back until like an offer comes in. And I want to teach them how to fish, not fish for them.
Well, this is part... there you go. I mean, and this is part of rhythm, right? So like we have our own personal discipline and how we manage our own peak performance state, or like how we start our day or start our week. But you cannot maintain a rhythm and that productivity if you're constantly being interrupted by these things, right? Like what do you do in between meetings, and how do people interact with you all week? Like, are you getting monkeys thrown on your back all week? Or are you getting a million notifications and like interruptions to your workflow? Then you never keep your rhythm and your like flow state because you're just fighting fires all the time. And I do think that there's a period of, just like when you're launching a business, there's a period of like this chaos and like you're trying to get to proof of concept and you're, trying to stabilize a little bit. And there's like a lot of bad habits that are formed then. And then those bad habits, like those gotta minutes with no agenda and like no even ask or no formal thought process being solidified before coming to you, like that actually holds you way back because then nobody can get in that rhythm. So I think it's a lot of figuring out how to get into your own peak performance and your own little creature comforts and routines that you do that you're super consistent with. And then also protecting the rhythm of how you're operating during the week as much as you can to like the situations that are happening around you. But I think a lot of that, to your point, is how you're responding to these things is how you're training people to come to you. if someone comes to me for an answer because it's quicker to come ask me for an answer, and I just immediately give them the mouse the little piece of cheese, and every time the mouse has a question, they're just going to ask. They're just going to ask. They got a piece of cheese. Instead of being like, listen, what do you want? What have you thought about? This is how I think about scenarios like this. And like, da-da-da-da-da-da. Come back to me when X. Or do you have what you need for you to make a decision?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, this is a real live everyday issue, right? Like I have multiple examples of this today. And like, I don't know, it was a couple hours ago now. Like I've received a text from somebody. I had a phone call, missed the phone call, received the text with enough information. And I still feel there's a guilt right now that I've not gotten back to this person, but it's like, he's given me enough information that I know how to prioritize. And like, I have a set meeting on the calendar with another department. Like, am I bumping that set meeting to tell them your time's not important? Somebody else just came to me with got a second, and then there's this recording, right? Like ideally, business wise, I should probably be on the phone, striking up that deal. But it's like, I have enough information that I have guilt about not getting back to them. But like, all right, I feel confident that this is not a fire that I'm going to I was able to prioritize because they gave me the right information that yes, I want to get back to you as soon as physically possible, but I don't have to bump this recording for that.
Yeah, exactly. I think those are really kind of like the core concepts of rhythm is your own self discipline on how you organize yourself, and then keeping that rhythm throughout the week as the ebbs and flow of business happen, and keeping everybody on your team in peak state by having those expectations of how to, like, the rules of engagement, if you will, like how do we all prioritize, and how do we keep our meetings, and how do we stay super effective? I think it really is difficult for a leader to transition into that place, and it feels uncomfortable to say no, or it feels uncomfortable to make it awkward and be maybe long-winded, or maybe ask the questions like, what do you want? What is your ask? Okay, sounds like you don't have an ask. Like, did this need to be got a minute? Like, could have been a message. I don't know.
Just wanted to vent.
You just wanted to vent? Well, you're getting me out of my flow. So, yeah.
And I think peak performance, and so, I talk about this all the time, the idea of like peak performance in a rest-run cycle, like the idea of like how important it is to rest, to have mental rest, to have physical rest. As a leader, you can wind up making how many different decisions a day, and everybody's looking to you to make decisions, et cetera. Like, if you want to be at peak performance, you also have to have periods of peak rest. And I think it's, sometimes counterintuitive to, our culture and to some teams. But like, I don't want a mediocre performance 7 days a week, 365. Like, I don't want that, right? Oh, well, I'm always here and I'm always available. Like, I want your ass here ready to run. Like if you're not ready to sprint and to run, then I don't know that you're ready to show up to work yet. So what do I need to do to be in that state? You talked about, peak state, and there's a mindset to it, and there's a physicality to it as well. And so I'm, especially with our sales team, I feel like I'm having to like force them, like, I need you to take the time off. And I'm not just being nice. How do I counteract? Like, I'm not just being nice. Like, it's selfishly, when you're here, I want you running. I want you sprinting. I don't want it to be like, well, I was on, it's my 20th day in a row of working. So like, of course I didn't call them right back. Then you're not in the right place. You're not in the right state. You need to take the damn day off. Go get your pedicure. Go get your massage or fish or whatever the hell you need to do to get yourself ready to go, so that you come in excited. Like you said, Monday's the best day. Here's the day that I can start new opportunities for the week. What trees can I shake? What opportunities can I make happen and run through this week? If you're not ready to run, you're not ready to perform. And everybody that wants to complain about, oh, the market is competitive and it's like, this is my soapbox now. Like, who gives a shit? Like, how are you preparing for that? You don't have control over that. The market's tough, whatever. Like, what are you going to do to prepare for it? All the more reason you probably shouldn't show up half-assed. How about that? How about you should show up trained, ready to go, ready to sprint? That's what you have control over. And then you should be excited about a tough market, because then it creates opportunity, because who else wants to do that? Who else is doing what Stephanie's doing, taking time out of her Sunday to take a look at the week? Let me look at my whole week ahead and let me plan out everything. Let me strategically plan what conversations I need to have, what meetings I need to put on there. And there's stages to this, right? Like I just said, I had to put one-on-one meetings on there and department level meetings. Some people probably aren't even doing that. Like you need to get that on the calendars first, getting that into a routine, and then leveling things up into like, all right, where's my self-care time? Where's my visionary time? Like making sure that I put and blockade those things on there, and then putting my pedicure time on there so that I can be ready to perform. I forgot who talked about it with like LeBron James and how much time and energy they put into his like rest time and focus for him to be able to perform.
I think it's at the stage where we're at now is like there has to be non-negotiables. You exit the period of like complete flexibility where you say yes to everything because you're just trying to make something work and try to figure it out, and then you put non-negotiables down on the calendar and you freaking keep them.
Man.
That's what makes you an executive.
And I mean, that's what it takes, right? The idea of like, it's funny. I think we did an episode one time where he talked about the grind, right? And some people are like, oh, the grind is crap. Like, no, the grind is real. The grind, there's a time for grind. For everything, turn, right? There's a season for everything. And there's a season to grind. There's a season when you have to do this stuff. But if you want to have this is why I love having some of our guests that have been on, like I've been in business for 20 years, being in business for 1 year is one thing. Like, shit, we worked 3 jobs full time with kids for a season, right? Like you could do anything for a year. You could do anything for a couple of years. Show me how to be successful for 20 years. And it's not going to be working 130 hours a week, and not having any time for yourself, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. Like for that long-term sustained success, which is what we should be looking for. Yes, there's a season where you have to grind and like, just make it happen. I don't cancel. Like, it might have been somebody else. I don't think we did it on this podcast. I was talking on somebody else's podcast. And I still kind of regret it a little bit to this day, but we canceled. Do you remember one of our first flips? We canceled. I am pissed. We canceled a vacation trip to Florida. It was all on the map, and a contractor broke his arm and couldn't finish a job. And we were stressed about, paying interest on this thing. Like, looking back on it 10 years later, like freaking a week, couldn't have waited. But I guess we were working full time maybe at the time. I don't know. But for whatever reason, we decided. There's plenty of reasons
why we couldn't. Well, why we could not take this vacation now. Like there was no way the world was going to end if we did. Obviously not.
Yeah. And so we, looking back on that, there's few times when your kids are that young that you're able to go and all be in one place, not have to worry about, we can't take it off because of field hockey. Like, like that was a potential special time. And not only did we not go to Florida, I left you and the freaking kids at home and went and picked up a hammer and started knocking walls down or whatever the hell I was doing. Right. But, and you could do it for a season. Long story short is you can do that for a season, but that's not a sustainable way, to live life. And at the end of it, like, what are you doing this all for anyways? Right. Like,
right.
Like what is your why? Which is a whole nother. I feel like every time we talk, it's like, well, there's 12 more episodes.
Well, that's why we're here doing this. That's why we're doing it. So I hope you take away, for the listeners, you take away from this episode feeling inspired to sit down and think about what your peak performance looks like from a rhythm standpoint. Like, when do you feel the best? What do you need in play at the beginning of your week or the beginning of your day to get yourself into that peak performance state? What do you need to have happen from a rest standpoint? What do you need for boundaries to protect that deep time and like the rhythm of the week in general? And put a couple non-negotiables on the calendar. Like time block that and hold yourself to them, and put at least one and start there with, this is what I absolutely need to feel my best. I have to do this every time. I have to have this as part of my week. Whether that be something that makes you more productive or something that helps you rest. I hope you walk away with this with some ideas on what you can do.
Absolutely. Love it. And I like to put on my calendar also time to train, right? Time to get out and network. When I could train or have some good networking time coming up?
Oh, I do know. There's a couple events coming up that you can train for, that you can train at.
What should I put in my calendar?
This. Oh, we're going to do a little plug. I love it. Okay, so July 9th and 10th is the Growth Lab. Left Main and Ramp REI co-host a Growth Lab, which is a small group workshop on scaling your company through different revenue ceilings. Super awesome. There's lots of sales, lots of revenue operations, lots of leadership stuff, small group. Love it. It's one of the most favorite things that I do. Funny how that all kind of centers around events and being in person and like Like I like to see what puzzle you're working on. Let's see how we can help solve it together. And then in September 19th through 21st, we are hosting REI Tech Unlocked with objection-proof AI and smartphone in Left Main, which is a technology event specific for real estate investing. First of its kind. Prop tech will be there, but specific for real estate investing. We've got a cool technology playground where you can get hands-on keyboard and learn about what other people are doing in the industry and actually try stuff out. We've got some pretty crazy, awesome speakers that are coming, some huge brands like Salesforce and Twilio, and Slack is represented. And oh my gosh, there's a whole list of all these really cool people that are coming. Facebook, Meta is coming. So getting out to events and hearing what's happening in the industry and in your local community, super, super important. So thanks for letting me plug that a little bit. Come hang out.
There we go.
I'll come see what puzzle you're working on. See if we can help you
Yeah,
out.
right. And it's like, if you don't put it on your calendar, it doesn't happen. And that's my other soapbox I'm on lately, is just the idea of continually pushing ourselves to be better as leaders. You are setting the ceiling for your company. How do you need to show up for your company and grow yourself? So with that, until next time.
See ya.